So another thing that I used to be super into, besides working on cars, was horticulture, and used to be into various types of horticulture. And since the outdoor growing season is basically done for the year, I figured I'd clean up the old back room here and start growing some plants. I think what we're gonna do is do some strawberries and stuff in here because something fun to do with the kiddo. So I figured I'd make a couple videos here showing my setup. I used to have another channel completely dedicated to this, but it was flagged and shut down by YouTube because they don't necessarily agree with the type of horticulture that I was doing. So this is my setup. I just gotta, there's stuff everywhere in here right now. Kind of organizing. There's all my camping stuff, and we got this is all grow stuff. Also, that bottom thing is completely filled with ballasts and bulbs, and this one here is full of like rock wool and stuff like that. But over the years, I've tried different types of lights, different types of combinations of lights. I think one of my very first videos on this channel was the dual spectrum 400 watt metal halide, where I used a cool tube and put a HPS and a metal halide in the same, and actually it was in a 4x4 tent, which I don't have anymore. This is a 4x8, and then I have another little one over there. I used to have a bunch more tents, but I've started to give some stuff away because I'm not really into horticulture like I used to be for various reasons. But I'm kind of going through some stuff here. See, we got a turbo cloner up there, which is the bigger version of the baby turbo cloner here. So, I got all kinds of stuff in here. So I'm gonna dig out some seeds, which I have in here somewhere. I think we're gonna do some strawberries and stuff. Just something to do with the kiddo while it's wintertime. So this whole closet here used to be totally filled with nothing but grow stuff. And still I got, planter bases over here, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff. See, there is some Black Star. That's some of the original technology for LEDs, lighthouse hydro. These things got so ridiculously hot, but they worked. But we won't talk about that. See, here's some stuff left over from some nutrient film stuff I did, where I had a big extravagant thing with tubes and pumps, and it would drip in one side and it would go and collect into this bucket, and that was riddled with problems. So what I came up with here was this is what I call refrigerated coco. That's a refrigerator. And so over the years I found that deep water culture is definitely the way to grow plants of pretty much all types. It doesn't necessarily need to be a specific type of plant, but you kind of tell from this setup what was here before. So that's a bucket in a refrigerator. There's an air pump, there's 2 air stones in there. And the problem with deep water culture is that you end up with root rot, and you get these massive pH swings, and your water temperature doesn't stay cold, it doesn't absorb or dissolve as much oxygen in it, and you end up with root rot, and you're halfway through a cycle and your plants are dying because the roots are rotting. So I figured I'd solve that problem by basically just putting the plant in a chiller instead of using a chiller. And so it's like this counterproductive thing where you have these big HPS lights that put off a lot of heat, and then you have to use AC to cool them back down, and then the water gets hot, so you have to use a chiller. So it's basically like you're fighting, each element is fighting each other. So what I did here with my last cycle was I got a Extra Suns. I think that's a 600 in there, and I have 2 400s, a 600, and I actually have a Phantom 2 1 kilowatt, 1000 watt, which I'm actually going to turn into a light that goes outside my garage. I got light movers in here. This goes back and forth. You can set the time on this to how long it goes to one side and how long it goes to the other side. So that saves. Instead of having 2 lights in here, you use one, and it goes back and forth so that your plants get a chance to rest. Plants sweat like people do, So that's how they, you put water in the plant and the water goes away. It's because the plant sweats. So it's good to give your plant a break every once in a while. So what we're doing here is I got some old cotton candy cups, and I put some of this cocoa stuff in it at the bottom, just as a little bit of filter and just some cocoa. And so what I wanted to really show here was how I, jumpstart these, because these are just cups with cocoa in it. So what I do here is I have a little secret ingredient combination that I use. There's no nutrients in the cocoa, so you have to put all the stuff in there. What I use is a great white shark mycorrhizae to get the bacterias and the funguses and stuff inside the roots, because plants don't just absorb nutrients, they have to be in a certain phase. Either have elemental or natural stuff like worm castings and stuff like that. It's already been broken down so the plant can absorb it. Stuff like this, these chemicals, not necessarily like this, but chemical fertilizers, the plant can't just absorb it. It has to go through a process in which the microbes basically eat it and shit out the good stuff. So you see, like here on the side, this is a combination of different salts and the bacterias and stuff that grow inside the dirt that make it to where the plant can absorb the stuff. So this plant's just been kind of sitting here for about 2 years, but we're not here to talk about that one. So what I do is just a tiny little wafting on the top there, and then what I do is I take a basically just like a gallon pitcher, and I put like a tablespoon of magnesium sulfate, which is just basically Epsom salt, and then I mix it with this stuff here. It's silica. This is a monosaccharic acid. Now, this stuff right here is stuff that typically your average grower farmer doesn't know about. If you want to go down the rabbit hole on this stuff, you got to go do your own research on that. There's a whole topic I don't even go into here. It's not even worth it. So Epsom salt, dissolve it in water, and then put a little bit of monosaccharic acid in it. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll water these a little bit to where they start getting moisture in them, because basically stuff's so dry that it's just going to run out. So I just got it in this little pot here. And then once I get that gallon in there, I'll go through and mix up another high concentration of this stuff, and then pour it in there, and I'll let this sit here for about a week or so before I even put any seeds in it. See, we just got some 4-foot T5s in here. I like fluorescence for starting plants, is they have UV in them. And so if you don't know, plants can get sunburnt, and if you start a plant inside and then transfer it outside, there's a really good chance that it's going to end up getting sunburnt. Wow, it's been in there for a while. This is an illegal, what the hell is it? Powdery mildew stuff. I don't even remember what the name of it is, but it looks like it's been leaking through the container. It says, I haven't been in here in a while. You can see it's very unorganized in here, but so yeah, that's what we do here. And I got all kinds of stuff here. I got vent fans and carbon filters and all that stuff. So we're gonna start growing some strawberries here. But yeah, the fluorescence, the plants can get sunburnt. So if you start them with LED and you have any chance that you're going to be putting them outside, you're going to want to start them with sunlight or fluorescence, because the plants will get sunburnt and it can kill them. So this right here is I don't even know what this is. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's just a 100 watt. I gotta turn that down so I can see. 150 watt. It's a LED. It's got some reds and stuff in it, and an ultraviolet, which you can probably see better on camera than I can looking at it. But over the years, I've used old LEDs, I've used new LEDs, I've used HPS, I've used fluorescence, I've used combinations of the two. And so there's something to be said about intensity of light and how it affects the plant. And different plants use the light in different ways. It's really hard to explain the concentrated Reader's Digest version, but what I found over the years is that if I got a 600 watt in here, basically 85% of that goes into heat, and you get 100 watts worth the actual light. So if you use LEDs, you're concentrating that power into the specific frequency of light that the plant uses. It's got what plants crave. It's got brown dough. So I've been growing with this for a while now. See, it's got a variable. Turn the little knob, turn it up and down. So yeah, no more HPS, no more massive power consumption. I mean, this is 150 watts. That plus the fan, and once I take this stuff out of here and get the light mover going, I mean, we're probably 250 watts total versus like a 600-watt light plus the fans plus everything else. So I guess we'll come back here in a couple weeks when we actually got some plants growing.